You sent the text, you watched it deliver, and then your brain just left the building. Suddenly you're 3 hours deep into why they haven't responded, what you said wrong, whether you came on too strong, whether this is over, whether it was ever real. And the worst part is, you know you're doing it. You can see yourself doing it, and you still can't stop. That's not a personality flaw. That's a nervous system that was trained to expect abandonment before you were old enough to understand what abandonment was. This is anxious attachment. And no, it's not the same thing your situationship called it when they wanted an excuse to pull away. The actual clinical definition, developed through decades of psychological research, not a TikTok slideshow, describes a specific pattern: fear of abandonment, hypersensitivity to what your partner does or doesn't do, a constant pull toward reassurance that never quite lands. It's not being needy. It's a threat detection system that never learned when to stand down. Here's where it comes from. In the 1970s, psychologist Mary Ainsworth ran an experiment called the strange situation. She placed infants in a room with their caregiver, then had the caregiver leave. The infants who became inconsolable when the caregiver left, and then couldn't be soothed even when they came back, reaching for comfort and resisting it at the same time. Those were the anxiously attached children. And what created that pattern wasn't cruelty. It wasn't neglect in the obvious sense. It was inconsistency. A caregiver who was warm sometimes and unavailable other times. Present, then gone. Responsive, then distant. No pattern the child could count on. The brain's response to that environment is completely logical. If you can't predict whether your needs are going to be met, you stay alert. Always. You monitor everything. You amplify your signals to make sure they're noticed. You never fully relax because relaxing was the moment things went wrong last time. Researchers call this hyperactivation of the attachment system. The volume gets turned all the way up and stays there. Now, you're 22, and someone you like takes 4 hours to text back, and your entire body responds like there's a fire in the building. Same system, different trigger. Around 20% of adults carry this pattern, based on research summaries from Cindy Hazan and Philip Shaver's foundational work on adult attachment from 1987. A 2010 meta-analysis in the journal Personality and Social Psychology Review found that anxious attachment ties directly to higher emotional reactivity, fear of rejection, and relationship dissatisfaction. Not because anxiously attached people create problems, but because their nervous system is running a background process that most other people don't have. The thought loops are specific. If they're distant, I did something wrong. If I reach out, I'm too much. If I don't, I'm losing them. The mind runs that same circuit on repeat. And your brain isn't being dramatic. Research points to elevated activity in the same threat detection regions that fire when you're in actual physical danger. Your nervous system is not distinguishing between a predator and a read receipt. It's treating them the same. What gets completely flattened in the way this topic gets talked about online is that anxious attachment isn't weakness, it's adaptation. Your brain built a system to survive an environment where connection was unpredictable. That system worked. It kept you close to the people you needed. The problem is, it doesn't know you're not there anymore. Hazan and Shaver's research also found something that doesn't make it into most posts about this. People with anxious attachment tend to be extraordinarily empathetic, deeply attuned to emotional shifts, to the unspoken tension in a room, to what someone means when they say they're fine. The hypervigilance that makes relationships exhausting is the same thing that makes anxiously attached people perceptive in ways others aren't. The skill and the wound come from the same place. And the last thing, the one that actually matters, is that this isn't fixed. Attachment research from Bowlby forward is consistent on this. Patterns that formed through experience can shift through experience. Secure relationships over time teach a nervous system that spent years bracing for impact that it's allowed to exhale. Therapy that works directly with attachment patterns has documented results. This isn't a life sentence, but it doesn't change from the outside in. It doesn't change because someone tells you you're being too much, or because you white-knuckle your way through not responding. It changes when the threat your brain has been preparing for stops showing up. When you accumulate enough evidence that the people around you aren't going to disappear, that you don't have to earn your place in every relationship you enter. The checking, the spiraling, the need for reassurance that never quite fills the gap. That's not who you are. That's what you learn. And what was learned can be unlearned. It just takes longer than a thread about attachment styles. Most people find this stuff through a spiral. They're in the middle of it, overanalyzing something, feeling things they can't explain, and they go looking for answers. And the internet gives them a label, which feels like relief until the label becomes another thing to be anxious about. Knowing what anxious attachment is doesn't rewire anything on its own, but understanding where it came from, that it was built, not born, changes the relationship you have with it. You're not fighting your personality. You're working with a nervous system that learned the wrong lesson from the right experience. That's a different problem. And different problems have different solutions.